Good morning. Well, in our gospel reading this morning, we have this well-known story we hear in the other gospels as well. A story we hear in the season of Lent, a story that appears to us at this point in our Lenten journey. And I wonder about the timing of it. I wonder about what it is we are supposed to be gleaning from this story, a story layered with excitement and gratitude, hospitality, presence, and accusations. We're in the home of Lazarus and his sisters, Martha and Mary, and Jesus and his disciples are on their way to Jerusalem for Passover, something you would do every year if you were a faithful Jew and of means to make the journey. They are 6 days out from Passover, and there's a good chance, just knowing the kind of person that Jesus was and is, and the way he lived his life, he didn't plan ahead. It's possible he learned this from his parents, who found themselves without a room in the inn. So Jesus stayed with Lazarus in Bethany, a town not far from Jerusalem. And I imagine this is where Airbnb got its idea from. Lazarus and his sisters were the first superhosts. In our gospel reading, Lazarus was one of those at the table with them. And this is an important bit of information because if we back up just one chapter in the Gospel of John, Lazarus was dead. Like, really dead. Dead. And Jesus brought him back to life. And so now Lazarus is sitting at the table with his good friend Jesus and the disciples having a meal prepared by Martha. Mary, in the middle of this dinner party, pulls out some costly perfume, lets her hair down, and anoints Jesus' feet, and uses her hair to wipe his feet. And Judas, oh sweet Judas, decides this is the moment that he should make the keen observation that she is using expensive perfume to anoint his feet, and isn't there some better use for this? Like, I don't know, say help the poor? But Jesus does what he does best and tells Judas to leave her alone. He states the obvious, that she should keep this perfume for his burial. Jesus reorientates us towards the cross once more, towards Good Friday. You do not always have me, he says. Jesus refocuses us on the thing that this season is about, reminds us of what we are preparing for, turns our gaze ever more slightly towards that which is waiting for him. Interesting that Jesus is the one who continues to refocus and remind those around him that he is going to leave them, that he is going to die, and is continually preparing them for when he's gone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial, he says. I don't know about you all, I always struggle in Lent. Like, I know it's Lent, I go to church, I was here on Ash Wednesday, I see purple, right? And it's warm outside, so it can't be Advent. But I struggle to be reminded about this season and where we are headed. But this gospel story clearly points to where we are going. I will tell you what always surprises me this time of year. I'm a native Texan, and I've lived in San Antonio most of my life. And every year, like a burst of perfume, like the sweet fragrance of grape soda, I am taken aback by the mountain laurels, bursting into full bloom. Every time. A few weeks ago, I was riding my bike on Mission Reach, and I was zooming by with a 15-mile-an-hour tailwind. I was cruising. And I got the smell of them, and I knew exactly what that smell was. I knew it. I passed a couple of trees whose flowers were in full bloom. One large one off the paved path had a little trail in the grass leading up to where people got close to take a deep breath of that grape soda fragrance. That native Texas tree. A few days after that bike ride, I realized that my new backyard has a mountain laurel tree in it. This unassuming, gangly tree, this native tree, all of a sudden adorned with the most beautiful purple flowers. Within a few weeks, you can't go anywhere without seeing the purple flowers and smelling grape soda. This is Lent for me. This smells like Lent. and I am reminded of this season once more. I know where I am. I imagine that's what happened when Mary opened that bottle of costly perfume. The fragrance filled the house. It bursted in out of nowhere. And like the smell of perfume that was intended to anoint a dead body, they were all reminded of what Jesus had been talking about. While everyone was on this pilgrimage of Passover, making their way towards Jerusalem, Jesus was making his way towards the cross. We have been reorientated in this season of Lent. We know where we are going and why, but what do we do? What is it that Jesus is calling us to in this gospel, in this life of ours? What do we make of these characters, Lazarus, Martha, Mary, and Judas? And where do we find ourselves in this story? Are you Lazarus? Have you gotten a second chance in this life? You were good as gone, and now you have found a new life in Jesus. What about Martha? Do you find yourself doing all the things, cooking, cleaning, making sure everyone is where they're supposed to be? Do you know what I like more than making a to-do list? I love scratching things off of them and then wadding up that little Post-it note and throwing it in the trash. Hi, I'm Martha. Are you Mary? Someone who can sit at the feet of Jesus, one who with an abundance of love and devotion pours out everything she has at his feet, one who can sit with him in silence. Are you Judas? Are you critical of those around you? Are you always telling others how they might do something differently, better, and more efficiently? Are your motives pure? I want to spend some time unpacking the two women in this story. I think it's important because they usually get pinned against each other. They are held up as an either-or kind of description. I'm also a woman, so I can say things Mike can't or shouldn't. So these sisters get held up as the two ways to act in the world, two ways for us to express our Christian vocation. They even have written books about this, like Being Mary in a Martha World. I don't know. We'll see. The truth is, social media might have given us a platform to share with the rest of the world, or whoever's following us, our best hacks on being Marthas. Inasmuch as the Christian culture would like us to live into our best Mary selves, the reality is, ain't nobody got time for that. So we elevate the one and diminish the other because we have placed value on our ability to produce and complete and multitask. So let's start with Martha. First, we're going to start with love. Martha loves Jesus. She was serving the table. She probably made the meal. She was practical. And the way she showed her love was through the works of her hands. And Martha always gave what she could. What Martha models for us is there are plenty of ways in which we can love and serve Jesus through the most simple, caring acts. And what we learn from Martha is that a grand gesture or a public platform is not required to show our love for Jesus. And this is good news. And then we have Mary. And we're going to start with love again, because Mary loved Jesus above all else. There are three things we learn from Mary's actions. We see love's extravagance. Mary takes the most precious thing she possessed and spent it all on Jesus. Love is not love if it nicely calculates the cost. It gives its all, and its only regret is that it has not still more to give. We see love's humility. It was a sign of honor to anoint a person's head, but Mary anoints Jesus' feet. And we see love's unself-consciousness. Mary wiped Jesus' feet with her hair, and during this time, no respectable woman would have ever appeared in public with her hair unbound. Mary, in an act of love, humility, and intimacy, takes her hair down and uses it to wipe the feet of Jesus. She doesn't care who was around or who saw. Mary's willingness to show the love she has for Jesus in this moment shows us that extravagance, humility, unself-consciousness, and intimacy looks like. We are given a glimpse into the relationship that Mary and Jesus had, one that was marked by her willingness to sit at his feet time and time again, to be present to him, her calling out to Jesus at the death of her brother Lazarus, and now she anoints his feet, this intimate act. I get the sense here that this is the type of friendship that Mary and Jesus have, is the one that we're being drawn into, a friendship that is marked by the mere presence of being in the same space as each other. I want you to think about your best friend. Really, right now, think about your best friend. Okay. Is this your spouse, a childhood friend, a neighbor, a random person you met at an event, and it would take heaven and earth to separate you now? Okay, you got him? Okay, good. Okay. I would imagine it doesn't matter how you spend your time together with this person. Just spending the time together is what's most important. What you do together is less important. I believe we're being called into a deep friendship and relationship with Jesus, one that is marked not by doing, but by being. One that does not require action on our part. The deepest relationships we have are the ones where we can be the most quiet with one another. One of my best friends and I can sit quietly on a park bench and watch her kids play. We don't need to say anything. We are content just sharing the same space, the same time, and enjoying the blessings of this life. I was talking to a book club friend of mine about this being overdoing concept, and she quickly quoted Benjamin Franklin. Never confuse motion for action. She's an anesthesiologist, so there is an irony and a humor in this when she is saying it to the surgeons in the OR. But the sentiment is the same. Never confuse motion for action. Let us not assign value to one sister over the other. Let us not confuse Mary's presence for anything less than it is, worship. We're being called into a relationship with Jesus, one that is marked by slowing down and finding ourselves at the feet of Jesus, slowing down long enough when life has given us a tailwind that we don't zoom by this season of Lent. We are being called to slow down and make a little path in the grass to smell the flowering trees. That fragrance that reminds us of this season and what we are preparing for. We are being called into a relationship that is constantly marked by reorientating ourselves towards the important things in life. A life of being present to the one that loves us and models for us what that love looks like. We are being called to fix our hearts on the one where true joy can be found. May we this Lenten season pour out the most costly of perfumes and fill our homes and our lives with the fragrance of love. A love so extravagant that it reorientates us towards the one who calls us into being. May our actions this Lenten season be marked by a quiet presence. May our actions be marked by the gratitude we have found for second chances for ourselves and those around us. And may our actions focus on being rather than doing. May our actions be a response to the orientation we have found this day. And may our gaze be on the one who sits with us. Amen.